The death toll from a volcanic eruption and tsunami in Tonga has risen to 3 now. Fresh satellite images have revealed the scale of the damage as rescue teams and aid workers struggle to access the island nation. Evacuation efforts have begun on some smaller outlying islands. A whole village was destroyed on Mango Island, while only 2 houses remain on Fonafua. Ash has smothered homes and buildings. These images, taken before and after, show the impact on high-density areas in the main port. The eruption damaged Tonga's only undersea communication cable. The fatalities include 2 local residents and a British woman. Joining me live now is the Liberal MP and the Chair of the Foreign Affairs and Aid Committee, Dave Sharma. Dave, good to see you. Thanks for your time as always. What are the troubles that now lay ahead for Tonga?
Well, thankfully, I think so far at least the loss of life has been less than we may have feared. And so I think the main challenge is going to be the disaster recovery and the rebuild effort. Obviously, there's a heavy cloud of ash lying over lots of the outlying islands and buildings. Infrastructure's been destroyed. Telecommunications are still cut off. And it's going to take some significant time to rebuild. There was some might remember a very big volcano that went off in Papua New Guinea in East New Britain in 1994 in a town called Rabaul. And I've been to Rabaul even quite recently. Rabaul is still covered in feet and feet of ash. That town now is effectively uninhabitable. And so there will probably be parts of Tonga where, people are going to have to relocate and find new homes because of the cover of ash.
Wow, and so that leads you to the concept of contamination. That's going to be a problem and it's going to affect drinking water, I suppose, for a while.
Absolutely, and I think this is some of the vital work that we're doing along with New Zealand, some of our other partners, is getting supplies like clean drinking water, but also water filtration and purification devices and machinery on board C-130s and on board boats or ships ready to sail to Tonga. At the moment, even the airstrip in Tonga, the airport, is still closed because of the ash cover, and that's also going to be a challenge, and that's why we've got HMAS Adelaide sailing to Brisbane now to be on standby to deploy if need be to Tonga. Just
on to COVID matters closer to home now, Dave. A bit of talk now around isolation and potential reductions. It's currently at 7 days for those who test positive to COVID. Is movement afoot to move that to 5 days? Is that something that you would support? And if so, when would you like to see that in place?
Look, I'm not going to second guess the health advice here, but I think if the health advice and that of the chief medical officers and the chief health officers is it's safe to do that. And the evidence suggests that the Omicron variant at least is contagious in an earlier window than the Delta or the earlier variants, and people are infectious for a shorter period after contracting it. Well, then if it's safe to reduce that period, obviously that would have a big beneficial impact on supply chain difficulties and workforce and skill shortages in the workplace. So the sooner the better, but obviously consistent with the medical and health advice.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Kelly was on the program a short time ago and he seemed to suggest that these conversations are being had already because the problems, like you just said there, with supply chain issues and worker shortages, it all needs to be balanced up. But there does appear to be a matter of urgency around trying to clear this backlog when it comes to supply chain issues and worker shortages, particularly in hospitals too, it should be said.
Look, absolutely, and I think this is the point. This isn't just about the economy, this is about people's health, because workforce shortages and supply shortages mean that hospitals are not doing surgeries that they might otherwise need to do. Intensive care wards are not as staffed as well as they should be. Even things like basic supplies for medical supplies and whatnot are not getting through or delivered as quickly as we can. And we're seeing it with rapid antigen tests, part of the supply chain pressures there because of truck drivers and warehouse shortages and stevedores at ports, all those sorts of things which we need to look after people.
I mean, if though that isolation requirement is brought forward, you're going to have to make RAT tests available for free for more and more people, aren't you?
I think we need to make sure that they're freely available. That is, that people can access them who need them, and that people who need support to purchase them get that support. And we've already made them effectively free for about 6 million Australians who are on a variety of welfare and other support payments. And look, this is something that's always under review, but at the moment I think the main issues here are not affordability issues, they're supply chain issues.
But we would be able to afford it though, wouldn't we? I mean, you can buy these rat tests for a couple of bucks each. I mean, there's so much money out there that's being wasted. I mean, surely there would be a position that the government could take that would allow rat tests to just be free like they're doing in the United States.
Look, I think, as I said, I think the main challenge here is to make sure that rat tests are freely available, or testing more broadly is freely available for those who need it, not just to stockpile and sit in your cupboard at home, not just because it's nice to have, for those who need it, who are essential workers, and for those that need assistance in purchasing them because they're of limited means, well then yes, we should be supporting them. But generally speaking, I think government should always be prudent with taxpayer money, and we should always make the case for why we need to be providing something for free that many Australians can afford. Some need some help purchasing, and we should help those Australians.
Just a final one on 0 days of isolation. This is something that the UK is now reportedly exploring. That may well be Boris Johnson's attempt to pivot away from his own problems at the moment. But when would that form part of the conversation here?
I think we're some way off from that yet, Peter. I mean, I think that's a situation when a disease has become endemic. That is, it's widespread within the population. There's a high degree of natural and other immunity to the disease, and the disease no longer poses a significant risk. So that's your situation with the common cold, for instance. Yeah. We might encourage people to stay at home, but we don't enforce stay-at-home orders. But from what I understand from the World Health Organization and others, we've still got some considerable way here with this disease, and with the potential for new variants, which we have to be mindful of before we're reaching that sort of endemic stage. So I don't think 0 days is something that's on the horizon anytime soon.
Okay, Dave Sharma, good to see you. Talk to you soon.